Hi, good morning, everyone. So, like I promised, I said I was going to share a video on how to write the conclusion of a paper. And like I already mentioned to you in class and even during your writing conference with me. So, when we think about the conclusion is where you release that very energy of your paper, like you've been building up the energy across all the paragraphs where you're making arguments and analyzing your data and supporting your data with evidences from research that you've done from readings from the class. However, at the conclusion stage, this is where you tie all of those ideas together. And there are things that it's likely that you do when writing the conclusion of a paper that would not make your conclusion a very good one. So the very first thing is that be careful of repetition. So you're not the conclusion of a paper is not where you do a lot of repetition. No. Instead, that is where you help us see the significance of your paper, why your paper matters. That is what you do, when you do the conclusion of your paper. And how do you do this? That is the first thing. How do you do this? Do you do this by trying to say, oh, I said this earlier, or I said this? No. What you do there is you could make a comparison, based on the arguments you've said and what you think would likely be, the outcome of some of your perspective. So it's not necessarily giving a solution, but you're making comparison. For example, you can say that if our world is going to be a sane society where there is equity and there is, when we anticipate a reduction, in racial equity and whatever you want to talk about, then it is important we begin to do A, B, C, D, or it is important we see what I said, some of the things you said, you can bring that back, but not necessarily repeating them. Another thing you want to do, when you're writing the conclusion of your paper is actually, pointing your readers to areas of further research. What are the things that are out there that are yet to be explored? Or what are some parts of it that are already explored in your paper, but that needs implementation? Does that make sense? What are, processes that needs to be enacted in the social structure of the society that would help, implement those ideas. I mean, those great ideas. In academia, it is one thing to have all of these theories, frameworks, ideas, ideologies, and all of this great stuff in paper. Then the question is, how do we implement that? And also, you also want to run away from, using empty cliche or, running off your line and then just jumping into a rush in your conclusion. So, for example, things that you did not say, like all of those things that were not in your own writing, across all the paragraphs you've woven together in your paper, you don't want to now start, coming up with that and trying to just, wrapping up your stuff and putting them in an empty basket that leaves your readers wondering, where is this coming from? Oh, did I read something like this anywhere in the paper? You don't want to do that. Instead, you want to reinforce your argument. So on this point, I'll quickly share with you one of the documents that I already have on Canvas that would help you, figure out how best to do. I'm trying to make sure this is the one. Am I right? It just says Google Chrome file. I just wanted to be sure this is it. Well, let's see. It looks like it though. Yes, this is it. So I don't know. I hope you are able to see my screen right now. So this is talking about the conclusions of your paper. So I am going to focus more. You will have time to read more of these ideas here, but I want to quickly talk about this part that said an ideal conclusion will incorporate some or all of these goals. And one of it is judgment, right? So when you're bringing in judgments to the ideas you presented in your paper, then your conclusion is that place where you state any judgments that are based on the issues that you raised. So what are your judgments? Like you're self-reflecting on the arguments you already made, right? So what are the judgments you're making based on that? How strong is that judgment, and what will make your judgment effective? And then the conclusion is also where everything nicely come together. So you do not just do a round off, summary of your work. Oh, in conclusion, I just want to say it is important we change the language policy in the education system in US. I mean, that is the given. Everybody knows that. But what you want to do is that you make sure that what you have said there, then you articulate it in a way that makes strong points, right? So you can connect, for example, the change of policy with the effect that it's going to have, on the broader society, and even on achievement gap, or whatever point you have already raised in your paper. And then you can draw broader conclusion, like you can tie your paper to other big ideas out there that are not necessarily what you talked about, but has an implication for that. So you can say language and education are extremely linked together, and there is no way we can have successful educational experiences for people across diverse spaces, color, origin, ethnicity, and all of that, when we don't revisit the idea of language. So that way you're linking language and education to broader experiences of people. So and then this writer tries to highlight some of the problem that you can run into. I think I already mentioned that, so I would want you to take your time to read this up. And then on a final note, I'm going to quickly discuss this sample conclusion that this writer talked about, which is really good. So when you see this part, I believe you will be able to see my cursor right now. So here it says, if you look at the way this person concludes his paper, he talked about wildlife management, its benefits both in California and for Californians and the California lions. And then he went ahead to say, as for the lions, they need to thrive in a natural habitat with an adequate food supply. And then supporting that with a very profound citation from here. We simply cannot let nature take its course, writes Terry Mansfield of the Department of blah, blah, blah. So sometimes you may want to bring a very rhetorical citation, quotation to the end of your conclusion that leaves your reader thinking about the arguments you made. And I think I like the way this person ended the last sentence. I wanted to pay attention to that. It says, in fact, not to take action in California is as illogical as reintroducing the lions to Central Park and Boston Common, places they once also roamed. So this is now like a huge sentence there that connects, like I was saying, the writer's arguments with the broader structure, with what is going to happen to the society, because that is what makes your research, profound. And I would want people to start, writing and thinking about area of further research, or even writing a rejoinder if they would want to do one. This writer kind of summarizes the explanation of what this author did with his conclusion here. So he said it concludes with the writer's stand on the issue after the facts have been presented. So see that logic, just pay attention to that logic. The facts you are presenting in your conclusion is, tying all of the ideas you've talked about together, and then connecting it with to show the significance of that research, and pointing your readers to areas of further research, how this could benefit the society, and then making a huge or a large statement that connects your work not only to what you have said, but also to the broader structure to end your conclusion. So that is what conclusion does. So I want to see you do this in your paper. So as you continue to rework the body of your paragraphs, of your paper, integrating all of the feedback I have given to you during the writing conference and modifying it for logical flow. And then when you write your conclusion, pay attention to some of these ideas that I have talked about. And this document is in the course file that I labeled tips for research writing. So you see the one that says introduction and conclusion. So click on it and scroll down to the part that says conclusion. So read a little bit further on that and see how you can make connection with your work. All right, I'll see you in class tomorrow.